Hey friends, happy gardening. Well, happy tips because this is a life hack tip, something everybody needs to know. So if you're a regular around here, then you know I lied because I said my last video about garlic would be my last, but this is a fourth video about garlic. But if you're here because YouTube recommended this to you, then it doesn't matter that I lied or not, you need to have this information. So, here's the deal. As the title says, raw garlic can and will burn your skin. Now, I know that sounds crazy because obviously we love garlic, so I've been chopping garlic and peeling garlic and slicing garlic for dinners all my life, and never had this issue whatsoever. Because again, if you think about it, usually when we're doing something for a basic meal, we're maybe doing 3 or 4 cloves, maybe a full head, but never the amount of garlic that I sliced up yesterday. So here's the scenario for you. I would say that it was probably 1 pound to 2 pounds of garlic, and I had a nice little setup going on the table where I had the dehydrator set up here, I had my cutting board set up here, and I had my jar of garlic. So I started out with like a gallon-sized bag that had about 3 fingers worth of garlic in the bottom of it. It wouldn't fit in all of the jar. And I'll show you what that jar looks like. Here's a picture. So I used like the top part of that jar and what was in that Ziploc bag, basically with no weight in mind. Just the goal was to get my dehydrator completely filled up with slices of garlic. Now I'm right-handed, so my left hand was really doing all the work. My left hand was holding the garlic, and as I would get the pieces sliced up, I was using my left hand to place the garlic all around the dehydrator instead of just letting it pile up, because it gets sticky and it gets harder and harder to work with. So as I cut it, I immediately put it on the dehydrator, and I probably spent maybe an hour, I know, 30 to 40 minutes slicing up this garlic. And at one point in time, I did wash my hands, I think because I was changing to a better knife, or my fingers had just gotten so tacky. So I finish up, I get everything loaded into the dehydrator, I go outside to take the dog out to have a little break on the patio, and I sit down, and I tend to hold my phone in my left hand, and he's so comfortable right now. So I get my phone, and I've got it here in my hand, and the phone's just almost a little too big for my hand. So I really have to use like my tips of my fingers, or like the top pads of my fingers, to hold my phone. And I'd sat there forever with this hand like this, and so it's like I can feel like my joints are burning or something. And so I'm like, what the heck? Like, am I really getting so old that, my fingers are cramping and burning like that? And so I'm just trying to ignore it, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. And so, and like, in my mind, I'm trying to make connections, like, what could this be? And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, this was my garlic hand. This is the hand that touched all the garlic. So I did a quick Google, and because I'm like, can raw garlic burn your hands? Like, can it burn you? Friends, let me tell you, Google shared with me stuff that I did not want to know on this day, because garlic does indeed and can and will burn your skin in bad ways if you do it in excess. Like, I didn't have any gloves on. I will never not do that much garlic again without gloves on. So the burn is kind of the result of like an allergic reaction, but essentially it's a chemical burn. So let's keep on this process. So I start Googling, and it's like, yeah, you can have an allergic reaction to garlic. This is the ingredient in it. This is the chemical, the natural chemical in there that causes the burn. And this data, there's so much data on there because actually so many people have heard about some kind of home remedy or some wives' tale about putting garlic onto their skin. So there was like this sweet, sweet 60-year-old woman I read about who had bad osteoarthritis in her knee, and a family member had told her to crush up like 10 to 12 garlic cloves, make a paste, and put it on her knee. And so she did, and she put a bandage over it, and she went to bed, and the next morning she had third-degree burns on her knees. And I sent the picture to Leslie because she was just laughing at me over burning my fingers in this way. But yeah, she got third-degree burns on her knee, and it took a long time to heal, and it surely didn't do anything to help with her sweet osteoarthritis. And there's another woman that for 4 hours a day, for 4 weeks, she'd been putting raw garlic on her big toe to deal with a fungal problem, and in the end ended up with third-degree burns on her toes. Now, you might be like rational thinking and like, why wouldn't these people take the garlic off, you know? But I think it's because I was explaining to Josie, it's because a lot of people from our generation or older have this belief system that if it hurts, it's working. You know, we're from the generation where they put that red stuff on, like mercurium or something, that red stuff, you put it in a cut and make it burn and scream, they'd be like, oh, it's working. Or the camphophenique generation, all those things that you'd put into a cut that would make it hurt 10 times worse, we're from that generation. So there was even reports of people that had put garlic all over their face and went to bed with it like that, woke up again, major burns. So back to me. Back to me. So once I realized from Google that this skin and indeed is happy, my thumb and these 2 fingers are on fire. Because I'm like, that's what made me Google. It's like, this feels like I have a burn. So I immediately go into my bedroom. I get my salve. If you want a link to my salve, it's up here. So I immediately get my salve, and I'm just like rubbing it. Now, if you remember from that video or you don't, when you use my salve on a burn, it's going to make it burn more because it's got a rapid cell regenerator in it, so it's double timing on the work. So, but it's hurting really bad. So it's 10 times as rough as it was. So now my husband's aware of what's going on. I'm trying to go back outside because that's my happy place. So, but on the way, I'm like, I go to grab like one of those kind of freeze packs that you put in a cooler, but I've still got salve all over my fingers. So I'm like, I can't do that. And I want to just go sit down and start, because I'm trying to deal with all this pain. 2 times it made me feel like I was going to throw up. Like, that's how intense it was for me. My husband made fun of me a little bit, but I do have to remind him and you that I did not cry. I didn't, okay? So I get back outside, and it's just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And when I started putting the salve on it, that's when I realized that it wasn't just these digits, it was also this digit. So just right here on the edge of this digit, it was burning also. So I'm like, babe, you're going to have to go get me a bowl of ice water. And I put it in there, and as soon as I put it in there, I'm like, oh, thank God. 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh my God. I have to pull it out of the water because it's just like, I can't even believe that a burn could keep getting intensified, but it's just intensified to the max now from going into the cold water. So again, my brain's churning, and that's when it's like, this is a chemical burn. Like, this isn't like burning yourself on a pan. This isn't like burning yourself on the oven rack. This is a chemical burn, and you don't just plunge chemical burns into water and other stuff. So, but I still put my fingers in there one more time, and that was the last time because that one was going to be the ringer for making me nauseous if I did it anymore. So I stopped plunging it into ice water, and I got a lot of the salve wiped off of it, and it stayed tender probably the better part of the night, mostly like just kind of when I could feel something brush against the skin on those fingers. you can kind of tell, not enough to like, you know, if you kind of look at my fingers, you can tell just a little bit of a difference. Now, I really believe if I hadn't used the salve, I'd have been in a bad situation. So even though it made it worse, I'm glad that I got as much healing as I could stand to deal with at the time. But friends, please, 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 do not use vinegar. I mean, not vinegar. Do not use garlic to treat anything on your body in a raw form. I can't tell you where people put garlic on their body too. Don't put it on your face. Don't put it on your skin. Don't put it on your knees. Don't put it in any of your orifices, because no matter what they say it's going to remedy, the damage it's going to do to your skin is not worth it. Okay? So now Leslie was a little scared after I told, in the midst of laughing at me, mind you, because how does this happen to me? Like, who does this? But in the midst of that, she's like, oh, I'm scared to cut garlic now. And again, I don't think for a second that the amount of garlic that you're using in your kitchen is probably sufficient to do this. Wash your hands always really good after using garlic. But I will, for here on out, always wear gloves anytime I do cut up that much garlic. And I don't know, maybe even for little bits of garlic I might have to, if now I've got some weird sensitivity to. No, I don't have any sensitivities when I eat it, because, I mean, even sitting there when I was cutting it up, I'm eating raw garlic, the strongest garlic I've ever eaten in my life. So, don't fall into any garlic remedies that have to do. You can get all the things that you need from garlic by eating it. Don't put it on your skin, friends. And if you have to chop up an insane amount, put some gloves on. Until next time, just have a great day, friends. P.S. This is about 2 weeks later, and my thumb is a little wonky to kind of show you, but that's my thumb. It's actually even kind of peeling under the first layer of peel. And these are these two fingers. This one had the least amount of burns on it, so it's, you know, got the least amount, and it was the last one. So I feel like I'm probably gonna lose the better part of the pad of my finger skin wise, but I mean, it doesn't hurt. It's just really kind of annoying because I'm used to having soft skin, and it constantly feels like there's something on my fingers that I need to get off, and it's just the skin coming off. So wear gloves with your garlic, and don't ever use garlic as a skin treatment where you're going to leave it on for any amount of time.